Hello everybody and welcome to Organian's Puzzle Box. In this episode we'll continue on with retopologizing this demon dragon figure that I've made here. And today we're going to be looking at doing the body. So just a quick reminder, basically if you want to get this Highpoly mesh, you can go down below in the description and you can find the Highpoly mesh on my Gumroad page where you can download it from. So basically you can do the retopology yourself at home. So as I said, we're going to do the body now, and we're just going to press the slash keyboard, the slash key on the keyboard, just so we can only see this part of the mesh rather than the whole thing. So as you can see, it's an asymmetrical shape, but that shouldn't get in our way to basically put in all the the biggest forms of the model and then work on the smaller details after. One of the things that I like to do, looking at these cavities over here, is that I like to make them as separate meshes and then merge them together with the overall big shape rather than making them from the same mesh, because if we use the same mesh to do these cavities, then we'll have a lot more polygons on our topology than we want. So to begin with, we will press Shift A on the keyboard. Well, actually, first press Shift S on the keyboard, Shift S, and then make sure that we have cursor to world origin. Then Shift A and create a plane. With the plane selected, just rotate it to 90 degrees. And then let's just bring it out a little bit forward, just like in my previous tutorial. We're going to move it up here. We're also going to scale it down. We want to make sure that the origin of this mesh is origin to 3D cursor, so it's over there. Because the reason why I want to do that is because we're going to mirror it. But let's first move it a little bit to the right, like that. But now the origin has moved as well, so we need to click on Set Origin to 3D Cursor again. Right, so now we're going to go into the modifiers, and we're going to add a shrink wrap modifier to begin with. If only I could find it. Right, shrink wrap, and then click the eyedropper and select our body. Now that's being, that's now selected. The mesh has disappeared for some reason. Let's just click the the properties of the mesh and just click in front over here so that we can see our mesh. And as you can see, I can move it along basically, which is fine. That's where the mesh is. Okay. Again, just make sure that the origin is to the 3D cursor. Now we'll place another modifier, which is the mirror modifier. That's it, and you can see now that the mesh is mirrored perfectly on the other side of the mesh, which is great. I'm going to increase this merge limit a little bit and also apply clipping so that when we get close to the mesh, it actually binds them together. We also want to activate the cage setup as well. That will help us. Now, for some reason, this is not really doing what I wanted to do. Right, oh, actually, sorry, I need to go into edit mode, and now you can see that basically it is doing what I wanted to do. If I move it like this, you can see that it basically clips in, but then it also merges, which is great, which is what we want, basically. We want to do the big shapes first, so don't mess up with any sort of details for the time being. There's no need for that. Also, if you want, we can also increase the offset on the shrink wrap modifier. Maybe go to 1, but just to pull it out a little bit out of the mesh. If we deselect in front, we should be able to see a lot more what we're doing here. So by increasing this offset, unfortunately, I mean, it does have a bit of a side effect by, it doesn't quite do what we wanted to do, but just leave it at 1 for now. Nah, probably 1 is too much. If we go to 0, it basically makes sure that all the vertices are hitting the mesh. We'll play with that option later. But anyway, let's just go back and make sure that it's selected in front. So we have our sort of like beginning poly plane sort of thing placed. So let's just drag it up. We'll just go like that. Again, just make sure that you do have the add-on, the F2 add-on. So for all of you that do not know about this, just go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and just search F2 and just activate it. This will allow you to extrude by basically, you know, if we do, let's say something like, let me just, oh, for some reason my computer is locked. Right, it's back in there. So if I do this, right, extrude, and then I click this point over here, if I press F on the keyboard, I will be able to extrude like that, which is quite handy indeed. Right, okay, so that's okay. One of the other things that we want to do is we want to select both of these and just go upwards. Now the idea here is that we want to move as quickly through this as possible, so you know, we'll just mess around with it. As you can see, it's not really doing what we want it to do, but we can play with the geometry a little bit. We want to follow sort of like this neckline, so it's very important to have a look for that as well. Again, we'll just select these two edges and just really extrude, unite, and then again another extrusion till it hits this point, which is great. Right, okay, so now that that's done, we basically want to go upwards, so just select the whole thing and extrude. It doesn't really work out very well on this side, so we may want to just go into side view, select these only. Actually, what we could do, we could extrude and then just scale rather than move. So yeah, that should work okay. So again, let's scale. I've extruded, I'm scaling, and then what we need to do is just make some minor modifications on this side. Okay, so we've got all that done, which is great. If you deactivate the mirror, we should be able to see what we're doing a bit better because the mirror won't get in the way. Again, let's just select all of this and just scale it out. Okay, at this stage we want to activate the mirror so that we can play with the settings a little bit, because you can see that we're pretty much out of our, well, we're not going in the right direction. We just need to pull these vertices together again, get them to clip. Very important that we get them to clip. Okay, and then these here as well. Right, okay, let's just drag it out. No, sorry, that was wrong. What we need is these two to clip. Like that. And we need these two to clip as well. There we go. Right, if we deactivate the in-front view, this is basically what we've got so far, which is not too bad. We just need to pull this out a little bit. Okay, now we obviously need a bit more geometry over here because we need this to increase in its, you know, the neckline has to be a bit taller. So again, it's all about where you're going to lay down the foundations of your topology. Make sure that it's all, you know, sort of like following a proper flow. Right, okay, now that we've got all that set up, if you look at the back seems to be a little bit more, you know, up, lower. So probably want to do that. Yeah, something like that. That should be okay. Okay, one of the other things that we want to do is we want to add a vertex going that way. Sorry, a loop going that way. So just to add more, a better topology overall. Right. Okay. So now we've got this. We can just extrude downwards as well. Again, what I would do is I would move down, and then I would also scale, so that it basically wraps around the object properly. This I will raise. As you can see, all of them are sort of like coming down. Well, they're coming at an angle for some reason. So I'm just going to pull this around as well. You know, just trying to cover all that shape, that overall shape, which is good. Now we have these sort of segments here, which I'll probably add a bit more geometry to it, and basically select this, go downwards like that. Just go into side view, something like that. Yeah, okay. I'm just doing a bit of manual retopology here, you know, not doing any sort of extrusions, just because I think this is more of a, you know, it's more of an event here that needs to be controlled. Okay, like that. And probably do this as well. Oh, I think No, sorry, thought I had some things going on in there. Right, okay, so now I can do this as well, like so. Yeah. Oh, why is it jumping over there? I have no idea. Let me just go back. Right, okay. One of the things that I may have not, you know, I've obviously said this in the last tutorial that I did, but I just want to remind you guys on this. Make sure that you have this magnet selected, the snap, and also that it's snapping to faces. Right, okay. One thing that I've noticed here is that we don't really have this pulled around, which now is okay. Another thing to note as well is these bumps here. We haven't really accounted for those, so I'm just gonna add another edge loop just to make sure that's really happening. Yeah, as you can see, if I drag this a little bit, maybe go like that, and maybe add another one over here, something like that. But actually no, just leave it the way it is. I think it's okay. Okay, what else can we do with this mesh? So we want to basically go down a bit more. What I would do is basically I'll just use this one side of the mesh over here to like really lay down the foundation topology, as I like to call it. So we're just gonna go down some more, go down all the way here. And this is a bit of a tricky one here now, as you can see. So going down as a symmetry sort of vibe, we've got a problem where our geometry on this side doesn't really match on this other side. Now, I don't want to make these cavities into the normal mesh, because it would basically be a problem if I do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to act as if that doesn't even exist. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm just going to go over here like that, and I'm just going to unite all of these meshes. All of this topology. And the reason why I did that is because going forward, I'm going to model that separately, and all I need my topology to do is just capture the detail that's, you know, from the big shapes, and that's about it. So I've just approached this over here like that. Okay, like so. Yeah, so just keep it very simple is basically what I'm trying to say. We don't need to worry about the symmetrical problems that we're going to have at the minute. So one of the other things as well is that we have this sort of shape over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a loop over there by pressing shift there on the keyboard, in case you guys don't know. Let me just get these to clip. Come on, please clip. Sometimes I don't want to. There we go. So the reason why I did that is because I want to basically create a little bit of geometry around this. So the way I'm going to do that is just, you know, adding some loops, and then I can lift this upwards like that. Okay. Something like that. Let me just go into front view. As you can see, this is where the points are going to be. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now you can see this, obviously, as I said, it's mirroring on this other side, but there's, you know, it's all wrong because there's nothing to mirror to. One thing to note here is that we have now created this shape, but we don't have, you know, from a mesh point of view, on whatever's happening on this side doesn't exist on the other side, so this could be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep on, as I said, modeling. It's a bit of a problem. What I can do here, actually, I'll drag all these all the way up here, yeah, like that. You see that? So basically I'm bypassing. I'm just going to add an edge loop over here. I'm also going to do that, and like that. And now we want to basically go from this angle here, go downwards. But an easier way to do this is just to select these vertices and just do that. And we'll want to do something like that. Yeah, just make sure that you have a proper good edge flow. That's the important thing here. Okay, same thing, we'll just select this whole thing. We don't want to select these as of yet. Yeah, like that. Extrude outwards, keep the mesh simple, do not complicate it, very important. Right, extrude, go this way. You can see how big the shapes are, which is very nice. It's going to be easier to work with, easier to subdivide if we need to. Go like that. Okay, now we have this tail sort of thing. So again, this should be okay in terms of mimicking the symmetry. Sorry, not mimicking, but the symmetry itself should be fine here. Should work just okay. You don't need a lot of polygons as of yet. Just do that. Okay, alright. Now, next thing we want to do is let's just deactivate the mirror, as the mirror is going to get in the way. So again, we want over here, obviously if we do that it's going to be a problem, so can't really do it. What I can do is I can extrude this way. I can probably add another loop in here just for, you know, just to help with the detail. Can do that. I'll select this tail, do this as well. Go this way. Make sure you go underneath as well. Do not cross the center line. There's no point. So because we have a symmetry in place. Okay. It's quite funny how it's quite interesting actually how much detail you can actually capture just by doing these very big faces. I mean, again, I'll probably add a subdivision modifier just to basically increase that geometry count and capture some more, as I said, capture some more detail. But as you can see, this is going quite well in terms of capturing the detail. Okay, gonna go on this side as well. So over here, probably just gonna do that. Again, not ideal, so we'll just drag it out a little bit. Yeah. Okay, now let's just do the bottom part. We're almost done basically, but let's just do the bottom part here. Same thing, we just want to probably add a bit more detail down here because we have all these shapes that are running, you know, running wild, as I like to call them, as I like to say. Go like that. Okay, go to the bottom view. Drag it like that. One of the things to do now is we can activate mirror. Oh, maybe we can't activate mirror. Okay. Right, okay. Let me just see where the center point is now. So as you can see, we're already past that center point in here. So, well, just about. Okay, right, okay. So we've got this shape now done. Let's just deactivate the, well, let's activate the mirror. And what we want to do at this stage is basically we'll want to apply the mirror. But first we need to make sure that everywhere where we have these sort of like, you know, not attached to each other, that we get them clipping into each other so they can be merged. Very important. Make sure that you do that. Make sure you check every angle. Like that. Okay. So that's all done there. We want to do the bottom here where the tail is. Well, part of the tail. Now, what have we got here? Oh, okay. So what I would do is I would just scrap the, let's just scrap the bottom and we'll do the bottom manually after. I think it's going to make it a better sort of deal. Right, okay, so some of the things that we may want to do. So at this stage, we basically need to separate the mirror from what we have, basically move the mirror side more to the left, as because we use symmetry so far, it obviously doesn't align properly. So we'll just do that right now. So we'll now do the, I've applied the mirror modifier, just click apply on it, and we're now going to move these points outwards. Basically the idea here being that we want to get the mesh to sort of match, well, we want to get the retopology to sort of match what we're seeing on screen. So there's obviously going to be quite a bit of a problem with our method that we used, because they're obviously not matching close enough. So let's just play a little bit with the settings. All you need to do really here is to start moving some of the retopology, and the retopology itself should sort of fall into line. So want to move some of these points so they can snap to the surface. So for example, you see that one there doesn't really want to snap out, but we'll make it, we'll get it to snap. See that? Right. Okay. Let's just see that it snap out. Yeah, it did. Okay. See, the back is okay. This is basically my shortcut to getting this sort of this geometry sorted, because if not, this would take a lot of time to deal with. So just pulling this geometry out, you see that basically doesn't really work very well, so I'm just gonna have to drag it out. Yeah, this point, for example, over here. Actually, one of the things that we could do is we can change this to wire and just try and see through the mesh and move these wire, move the wire frame around until we get a proper shape. It is a bit of a, it can get quite daunting, especially when you select the back, when you instead of want to select the front. Right, okay, so I've got that there done. Just gonna pull these out. Okay, so one of the things that we can do now, we'll go into edge mode, just make sure we've got X-ray active, and we'll just select this entire side here. Yeah, and now Control I to invert and Shift H to hide. So what we did there, we basically hid everything else that was not selected, and hopefully this will help us, as we can now see only one side of the mesh, which is quite okay. Okay, this should help with the confusion when looking at this mesh. Let's just drag that outwards. I'm not sure why it looks that way. Okay, that's fine. So what we want to do is we want to work on this side, bring all these points down like that. Come on, go down. See, as you can see, we can do some connections in here that are gonna be quite okay. Yeah, we've got that there. We've got this over here. Basically, I mean, this, you can potentially say this is a bit of a guessing game at this point, where you're gonna have to put your sort of like your shapes for one half for it to meet halfway through with the other one, if that makes sense. Because, for example, we have this cavity over here, but I don't really have any sort of geometry going around it. I don't really need to. What I would like to do is basically, in this scenario, I can make a hole here, so delete that, then go over like that, and just basically wrap around this. So delete this face as well, probably delete this face as well, delete this face as well, and just have my geometry, whatever the geometry that I've got in place here, just have it sort of like go around this, so it doesn't actually touch that area. So because what I'll do is I'll model this on its own. So I'll model this side, this part here on its own in a different mesh. Yeah, okay, so that's okay. What else? This is why I need to make sure that I've captured all the big details. So, you know, for example, on this side, I don't need this mesh to go this way. You see, I've got this over here, which I potentially could capture that. With the current mesh that I've got, shouldn't really be that much of a problem to move a few verts around. And just get that in. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, it is quite of a long stretch, but we'll see how that looks in baking. We could probably just add a vertex over here. And the reason for that is so I can move this around just to try and capture that detail in there. And I'll probably add another one here. But because I've made all the big shapes, it's not really that much of a problem because I can just move things around, make sure that they go properly around the whole area. So we're in front, let's just go to textured. And this is basically what we've got so far. So we've got this hole here. We'll probably Alt-H to have everything be brought back. Probably want to select this whole edge loop in edge mode. Go like that, and then just extrude and scale. Sorry, extrude and scale is what I mean to do. What I want to do. Okay, come on. Move like that. Okay. No, this is not good at all. Let me just redo these. As you can see, we've got a bit of a technical problem here. We selected these two edges. Probably. See, I don't like the fact that I can't properly extrude them. So I'm just going to extrude this one. Going to extrude this one. Going to extrude this one. Yeah. And then I'm just going to go on this side. Extrude this one. You know, they don't have to be perfectly matching, but they have to be somewhat close. Hopefully I've done that well. Let's see. Yeah, so then we select these two and we say weld at center. Probably do this over here. And let's just move it a little bit to the side like that. Yeah. Go like that. Now bridge like so, and should be it really. Yeah, that should be it. Right, okay, there's nothing really there anyway. So okay, so we've got that done. Now we've got this part over in here. So again, I'm just going to go on the front view. I'm going to select just these polygons. So go into edge mode, select these polygons, Shift H to just see those, and then I'm just going to select these and Shift H again just to see these only. Right, okay, so you can see that we've got this big hole in here. So what I want to do now is basically what I did before, which is delete the face, and make sure that we have something running across. One of the things that I haven't tested, and I just want to test right now, is if I had an edge loop here, what will happen is this going to basically go all the way up. So let's Alt H, and it doesn't. All right, okay. So let's add that towards, you know, later. Let me just make sure that I've got all of this done here properly. Okay, so now Alt H to unhide everything, and we want to add a loop here. Yeah, and we also want to add a loop here. Okay, so that's gone across around, which is great. So now if we deselect in front and we get out of X-ray mode, this is what we've got basically, which I'm not too fussed about. I mean, it is definitely going around the form. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Okay. So we basically have wrapped our entire mesh in this way, right? And we just need now to do the bottom, which I'll do in just a second. After that, we basically we'll create another plane just to basically do this sort of you know, this geometry around this point and this point. And though that geometry is basically going to sit on top of this other one, and it will be like you know, when we bake, basically it will bake the whole thing without really any problem. But it will definitely look better than just adding a lot of geometry around it, because this side over here would require quite a few polygons on the overall mesh in order to make it work. And I can't, you know, those loops have to end somewhere, and they'll just add extra geometry for no reason on the, you know, in all directions on the model, when we can actually just preserve the detail and in a different mesh, which is basically going to work better for us. So now let's move our plane over into the low poly, because that's what it's supposed to be. And we'll just rename this to Dragon Body Low. Yeah. And we want to get out of edit mode, and we want to hide our Dragon Body Low for now. We don't need it. Okay, we'll just select the body again, and we want to now make another plane. So make sure that the 3D cursor is here anyway. Let's just shift a mesh plane, go to the side, rotate 90 degrees, bring it forward like that, scale it down, doesn't need to be that big, and just drag it over in here. Let's drag it in front of the mesh. Okay, go to the modifiers, add a shrink wrap, and then select this model. Right, okay, so this cavity here is not exactly the easiest thing to do. Just activate cage so you can see it. So we've got to make sure that we start from a point that's, how should I say, neutral. Let's just make sure that we have in front active so we can see it. Okay, so we'll just drag things across. Again, this mesh will look quite dynamic. Is that a good word for it? Yeah, I think dynamic is the right description for this. And we'll extrude this going this way. Yeah, something like that. And then we can basically do another extrusion going this way, and do it like that. Add a loop over in here, because we do need to sort of like segment this way. So again, oh, I've just gone inside the body. We'll just take it this way. Already can see that you know, this is going to be quite a bit more geometry than what we would have, and then basically what we could have anticipated. So no, not like that. What we want to do now is we want to sort of extrude a little bit outwards, like so, but not a lot. Maybe, you know, if we activate Dragon Body Low again, Not really seeing it, but it is around here, so it should be fine. Just to be safe, just to be on the safe side, we'll basically do another vertex this way, do another one this way, and another one this way, just to be sure. Okay, and then we'll select this edge, go like that. This edge over here, go this way. Okay, this one like that. This one like that, this one like that. Okay. Right. Okay. Wow. This can get really complicated. So we'll probably do something like this. It's really very important for you to sort of like understand how much you want to create, you know, how much deep you want to go into these cavities. So it's very important for you to work this one out. The reason why they look like this is because obviously this is a decimated model. It's not the full detail one, and also because this is supposed to be like burned. You know, it's like the entire body here is burned, so the detail is somewhat not lost, but it definitely isn't. It doesn't look too good because it's a burned body. Okay, we'll just do that. Probably do this. We'll just. This is all in the. This is all in the name of getting a more, you know, getting more detail out of this part of the mesh. Because later on we're going to do texturing and all that. I'm going to add a lot of detail here. Well, overall really, but the more we accounted for these sort of shapes, the better it's going to be. So as you can see now, I'm creating this sort of like the cavity bit, the inside. So it's just like creating a mouth sort of, which by the way is generally a very difficult task for people. I see a lot of people struggling with creating mouths. So this is not really that different. Obviously we don't have any teeth, and we don't want to go into that level of detail anyway. Okay, can probably do this here like that, because this is going to capture the detail. We don't need the actual physical geometry unless you're planning on doing a very close-up shot, which again, it's really all about the project, I guess, the project scope. Okay. So we're almost out of the blue on this one. The next one I'm not going to show you because it's way easier. You know, the geometry is so simple there, and only a couple of polygons and you've done it. But this one was the more complicated one, which I wanted to show you guys how to do. One of the things to take note is that you don't want your other low poly mesh to sort of stick out through this one. But even if it does, you're just going to have to play around with the texturing in the end to balance it. So, you know, I think overall this has been this is probably going to be quite a good way of you to learn how some of these things are done. Some people would have probably gone to the length of just modeling it all out in one mesh. I've tried that before. I didn't like it. This is why I'm doing it this way. I didn't like the results, so okay, so that cavity is pretty much done. Just adding a few more, you know, a few extra details in here. So the important thing is now the merger really with the other low poly. So if we hide the dragon body completely and we bring in the dragon body low, this is basically what we've done, right? We've added this geometry to this geometry. Yeah. So one of the things to note here is that we basically would want to delete some of this stuff. So we added some extra polygons in here that we didn't need. No problem. Okay, and then we didn't add some polygons here where we did need it. If we deactivate in front, this should help us immensely. Okay, so let's just drag this out. So this is, by the way, this should in theory follow the body anyway, but we'll just double check that. So basically cover up the stitches. Is basically what we're doing right now. Okay. So if we select the body now, this is why it won't allow us to pass through, because there's elements in here. So if we deactivate the body again, we're probably gonna have to click our dragon poly low, go in edit mode on that one. For some reason I'm in edit mode on both, which I didn't want. So now I'm in edit mode on the body. Let me just pull some of these, you know, add some more detail here. Like that. Okay. Now let's go into edit mode on this one and try and bring it as close as possible. Yeah, any holes, anything like that? I think it should be okay now. Right, okay, so that's now part, that plane is now part of this, so I'm just going to select both of them and Control J to join them. But obviously they're two different parts, so you know, we've got one part here, I've got one part here, which is great. Right, okay, so now this is the last bit that we need to do, and the bottom, I'm just going to do these two very quickly, and then we'll move on to baking, so you guys can see the final result. Okay everybody, so we're now in Substance Painter, and as you can see I've already baked the mesh maps. This is basically the result that we've got. We've got a few errors, so one over here, because we need another edge loop to run across to balance this, to fix this. And then we need another edge loop over here, again, to fix the problem. An edge loop over here on the tail would fix the problem as well. And also we have a few errors to where we've added the meshes in, like here, which all we need to do is go back into Blender and just, you know, change the topology a little bit to fix that, which is quite easy to do. And this part here has got the same issue where we just need to go back into Blender and basically get this geometry closer to this one, or inside really, in order to fix this problem. But overall, that's basically, you know, this is the mesh basically done. So quite low topology on the main one and a bit more topology over here where we've got all these details that we wanted to cover. So I hope you guys found this video useful. Stay tuned for my next video in which we'll do another part of the dragon. And in the end, we'll obviously texture it, and we're also going to animate it. So thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please leave a thumbs up and a comment if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.